Watson TV turkey dinners.
I just want to do good pictures.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Dorothy Dandridge.
If I seem a little nervous.
This moment is so much bigger than me.
The first African-American to ever win the Oscar for Best Actress.
One of the hardest working women in Hollywood. The most beautiful woman in the world.
Halle Berry!
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry!
For Halle, no script could have written this ending, or the beginning.
Okay.
Let's go back to '86. Wait, who is that?
Halle Berry, Cleveland, Ohio.
I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio, called Oakwood Village.
When I was a kid, I was a latchkey kid, and what I had in front of me was the television.
We watched General Hospital, Little Rascals, and then the Flintstones. One Saturday afternoon, on the UHF station, Carmen Jones came on, and I was just in awe and just totally captivated. I'd never seen an all-black movie, and an all-black musical, and a movie where all of the black people looked good. I didn't know a thing about Dorothy Dandridge, and I became inspired to find out more about her. And I remember going to my high school library and looking up the name Dorothy Dandridge, and there was one line. First black woman nominated for an Academy Award, Carmen Jones.
And were you a cheerleader? You were a cheerleader, right?
I was a cheerleader, and I played the flute, and I was president of my class and editor of the school paper.
We have an old photo, actually. Your mom was very kind to us.
But for Halle, things weren't always picture perfect. She ran for prom queen and won, or so she thought.
I legit went prom queen, but the administration of the school, they thought, no, this little black girl.
And they had a meeting, and they said, oh, actually it was a tie, and a white girl has tied with you.
What the school decided the appropriate thing to do is that we should toss a coin.
And they had a coin flip that Halle won, but she felt suspicious of that.
Were you aware at the time that this was racist?
Oh, yeah.
You were.
Your father was black. Your mother was white.
Did you ever feel you had to choose, and how did you choose?
On paper, yes, I am biracial. But I think choosing is something that I can only say I found necessary for me. And I found myself identifying with the black community. I was accepted the most by the black community.
Your maternal grandparents, they actually, I found it hard to believe, they disowned your mother when she married your father because he was a black man.
Yep, they did. It didn't stay that way. They disowned her for probably 4 or 5 years. And then when they realized that my father was gone and never coming back, they took her back in, sort of. But then they still had a problem with her 2 little black kids. They still did, yeah. And I grew up knowing that, and that played on my self-esteem. You know, a lot of things like that played on my low self-esteem, I think, growing up sometimes.
Halle always wanted to belong somewhere, and that desire would follow her for most of her life.
Of Miss USA 1986.
I got into pageants because my boyfriend, when I was 16 years old, had this weird fantasy of having a beauty pageant queen girlfriend. He was fixed on it. He took my high school picture and he sent it into the pageant, the Miss Teen Ohio. He read about it in the paper. And then I just remember getting a note in the mail saying, you have been accepted for the Miss Teen Ohio pageant.
She climbed the ranks all the way to Miss USA, and now she was standing at the finish line.
The first runner-up is Miss Ohio.
As expected, there'd never been a black woman to win this pageant. Halle would go on to Miss World as the first to represent the USA and won 6th place. But by the end of the cycle, she was burned out. An acquaintance told her they had some modeling opportunities for her in Chicago, so she skipped college and took the chance.
Because the woman that ran my Miss Ohio pageant, she had a modeling agency there called Chicago Model Group. She said, come to Chicago, I'll hook you up with modeling and make a bag of cash, like just relax for a year and then figure out what you're gonna do. I said, okay. Well, that was a big bunch of crap because when I got there, she never told me it would be her in a 1-bedroom apartment with like 15 other girls.
I lied.
I took a class at Second City just for shits and giggles, just because I was having a boring summer and just wanted to do something with myself. One of my instructors there said, you should quit your modeling and become an actress. And I thought, oh, I can't.
Until she got a call.
A friend of mine was casting a daytime show, and they were looking for an attractive black actress. And I said, well, what kind of black actress? You know, they're different. And I was like, and he said, someone all-American, cheerleader, pretty, spunky.
Halle was recommended to manager Vince Cirincione by Sandy Ferguson, who knew her from the pageant scene.
He was looking for a young, black little girl that he could put on a soap opera. And I heard he was looking for me, so I called him up.
Hold on, okay? My name is Vincent Cirincione. I'm the manager in New York.
I'm looking for you. And he asked me to fly to New York, and I did.
She'd moved to New York in 1989, but she didn't find success immediately.
I slept on Vince's couch a lot.
And at a homeless shelter when her mother refused to send her money after she ran out.
There must have been 100 people at that audition. Just gone into this audition, and I had decided to cut all of my hair off. Every audition I saw another black girl just like me, big curly hair, and I felt like the casting director just like went, you. And then that's who got the jobs. It was very much designed to set myself apart. My manager told me at the time, I'll never work again. I'm no longer commercial or cute. And the first audition I had since I cut my hair, I got that job.
First shot.
My first big break was Living Dolls. I got to play on a television show on ABC. My character was Emily. She was very innocent. She was the girl that started every scene with, "Hi, guys."
Oh, hi, Trish.
And ended the scene with, "Come on, let's go." She had no purpose.
Whoa, you look amazing. I do, don't I?
One of the days at work, I passed out, just cold, and had no idea what was wrong with me. And I woke up and I was in the hospital, and I was being told that I was diabetic. And I had no understanding of what diabetes was. I instantly thought I was going to die because I heard disease. Okay, after disease, there must be death.
Halle was in a coma for 3 days after passing out on set of her first gig. The whirlwind of being on television had taken a toll on her body, and it shut down.
Luckily for me, that show was very short-lived.
ABC sitcom Living Dolls has been canceled.
After 12 episodes, the show fizzled out. She picked up a few TV roles, but she was trying to prove that she was more than just a pretty face.
Would you recommend that other teen pageant winners go become some version of a crack-smoking, foul-mouthed hoe?
Let me explain. It's still 1989, and Spike Lee hears about the tragic story of Yusuf Hawkins, a 16-year-old black teenager, ambushed and killed by an Italian mob in Bensonhurst. The city is shaken, and something ignites in Spike. He grabs a stack of index cards and starts writing.
He's at it again. Spike Lee is once again exploring the dynamics of race relations in his new film, Jungle Fever.
It's called Jungle Fever, and it's about an interracial relationship that takes place here in New York City. A black architect from Harlem finds himself in a relationship with a young white Italian-American woman from Bensonhurst.
When you think about Jungle Fever, you think of interracial relationships, but I think one of the strongest elements of this movie is a statement that Spike makes about drugs.
Wesley's brother, played by Sam Jackson, Gator, is a crackhead in this film, and through his character and Wesley's family, we see that how a black family is destroyed by drugs.
Halle wanted to be in the film, not as Spike's wife, as she originally auditioned for, but as,
"I want y'all to meet my new woman, Viv."
You was fine as a crack addict.
Robbie Reed, my casting director, brought me to the attention of Halle.
After I read for the wife, I said, "Spike, do you think I could read for the crack addict?" And he said, no.
I said, "She's too beautiful to play this part."
And I said, "Come on, just let me read." So he said, "Okay, if you want to read, go in the bathroom, wash off all your makeup, and then I can read you, but I can't read you looking like this." I said, "All right."
She came back, and I even recognized her when she walked in, and that's when she got the part.
I'm not supposed to go on with Not only did he give me my first shot, but he gave me a chance to play a crackhead, which is so unlike me, which was the best thing that's happened in my career, I think. Once I got to Hollywood, they think anybody that's remotely attractive doesn't have a brain and you can't possibly be talented. So I've had to work extra hard to dispel those images. So that's why I took Jungle Fever, a film where I played a crack addict, so I could lose the makeup, lose the hair, and just be, you know, a crackhead.
Look at it. Kareem Akbar.
Which one of y'all dated Halle first?
He did.
You said it wasn't you that busted her eardrum, it was Wesley Snipes.
Do you have any recollections of your home life during the first 4 years of your life? Was it a tranquil atmosphere?
No.
Why?
Abusive. My father was an extremely abusive man. He abused my mother and my sister constantly, and the hard part for me was that he never abused me.
You said that you had relationships with abusive men.
You lost 80% of your hearing when a former boyfriend hit you upside your head.
Right. I didn't know what to expect from a man. I didn't have a father, a good, strong father image to show me how a man should treat a woman and how a man should treat his kids, and I didn't know.
She never confirmed who it was, but who could blame her? Being an up-and-comer, going against a man, a famous man, could have an impact on your career.
I'm late.
Okay, our next film is a modest but entertaining comedy called Strictly Business.
Strictly Business.
The lady is played by beautiful Halle Berry, who also played a drug addict in Spike Lee's Jungle Fever.
In only 3 years of acting, Halle was already a leading lady, and that got the ball rolling.
You have a couple of other films coming out with some big stuff.
The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans, and I begin working on a film called Boomerang with Eddie Murphy next month.
Oh,
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy.
Hey, you.
That's Eddie Murphy in one of the opening scenes of his new movie, Boomerang.
Long story short, Eddie Murphy was the biggest comedian in Hollywood. Sharing the screen with him, that was a big deal.
Isn't she wonderful? Is she a wonderful actress? Wonderful. Yeah, I expect wonderful things from this woman, a long, wonderful career.
Boomerang boasts a cast of some of the brightest black talent, including David Alan Grier, Martin Lawrence, Grace Jones, Eartha Kitt, and Halle Berry.
You know, what do you know about love?
Have you heard how well the Braves are doing this year?
What do you possibly think you know about love?
And you got justice at your house.
That's right. You know, I'm sick and tired of men using love like it's some kind of disease you just catch. Love should have brought your ass home last night.
Halle first saw David Justice on TV during MTV's Rock and Jock Game in '92 and was immediately attracted. They had a lot in common, both from Ohio, both raised by single mothers, both 26. He was a star athlete, and she was Hollywood's next big thing. When David eventually asked a reporter to get her autograph, Halle didn't sign anything. She gave him her number instead. By the next New Year's Day, they were married.
Their courtship was short, and it was Halle who popped the question.
Yeah, you heard that right.
And is he happy when he comes home after hitting a home run and winning the game as he did here in the big stretch run?
He's happy if I'm home after he gets home.
That's right.
She drew on her own experiences to play a biracial slave in the Emmy-nominated miniseries Queen.
Weren't there other actresses who wanted to scratch your eyes out for getting that role?
Yeah, some try.
Being in the industry isn't for the faint of heart.
There's New Jack City, there's Boys in the Hood, there's Menace to Societies, and I'm fed up with people not wanting to accept African Americans in other kinds of roles.
We're even cavemen.
Am I interrupting?
I got to play the object of desire, a really sexy role in a film where I was surrounded by all white actors, and here I am, a black woman, and I'm the object of desire. Just years ago, we weren't even in film, and if we were the nanny or the maid, so I think it's saying a lot.
Halle was a star, but she was still trying to prove she was a serious actress.
What drew you to the role of Kyla Richards in Losing Eyes?
That role? At first, I was nervous and insecure. I auditioned so many times.
For 24 hours, I was like this, trying to keep my eyes open.
Embrace me. I'm not gonna be a dancing bear and change who I am so that they will accept me. I'm not gonna go lighten my skin. You know, I'm gonna be who I am. And eventually, if I live long enough, hopefully they will.
You are a beautiful woman, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you're one of maybe, I don't know, the top 50 beautiful people that I've ever seen.
There was this extraordinary visual beauty.
Well, people say that, but I don't feel that way. No, I don't. You know, I see the real me. You know, I wake up before, the Revlon goes on.
Right. But nothing rivals the colossal cosmetic contract she got from Revlon.
My mother always says, be careful what you pray for, because you just might get it. I'm married now. I have a real sense of security in my life, a real purpose.
He seems like a nice man.
Yeah, he's not bad.
Life was good, for a while, but rumors started to buzz, with allegations of infidelity on both sides. And it's reported that David was publicly still playing the field. And after some time quietly separated, Halle filed for divorce from Justice.
The tabloids had their way with Halle Berry-David Justice marriage.
Berry's split from Justice was very tense and very messy.
Just like any breakup, it's a little tough.
Halle Berry had him served with divorce papers, between the 5th and 6th innings of a Padres game.
My sense of self and my self-worth was totally connected to him. So when he left, I felt like nothing.
Their very public split turned ugly after Halle filed a restraining order against David.
The day that I got divorced, I so blamed it on my father, and I called him up and I just said, I'm getting a divorce and it's all your fault. And he said nothing, he did nothing, he offered me nothing. And I felt so empty at the end of it. But I knew I had spoken to him for the very last time in my life.
It was a dark time for Halle, one she didn't think she'd be able to get out of.
I really didn't want to face the world. I thought this is a failure in my life. I love this man, and I really just felt like the easy way out would be to just go away and disappear.
She reportedly attempted to take her own life in her garage.
When I was sitting there, really with all my heart wanting to end my life, I thought of my mother and I thought, wow, how unfair. I would break her heart. My heart's broken and I'm going to kill myself. I would break her heart.
And with that, Halle decided to leave her garage and take control of her life and her career.
I grew up thinking that if I didn't have my prince on a white horse, I was not complete. And hopefully, whenever I venture into it again, if I ever do, I'll be more equipped next time to make better choices before marriage, to pick a different kind of person that's better for me. And I've learned things that I should and shouldn't do within a marriage that will possibly make it last.
Hello, sir. She's through with your sorry ass.
Hi, I'm Halle Berry, and I know you're saying that's not Halle, but it is Halle.
Halle was having fun again.
A lot of guys would take this opportunity to be hitting on you because I know what's going on.
You're single, and of course, these people love to try and figure out who you're dating.
They said I was with Kevin Costner about 6 months ago, then Michael De Lorenzo, then Suge Knight.
Yeah. Suge Knight was messing around with Halle Berry? Yeah.
And a girl walks up to me and she says, oh my God, I love you. I love you. Can I please have your autograph? I said, okay, sure, calm down. So I get out the pen and write my autograph to her and I give it to her and she's like, thank you so much, I love you. She looks at it and she says, oh damn, I thought you were Tony Braxton.
She began seeing the actor Shamar Moore. He had a type.
Halle Berry's a beautiful woman. We're having a lot of fun.
But her career didn't slow down.
The clothes. Oh, look. Giorgio Armani. Oh, girl, you think they'll let us up in Giorgio Armani? What you think? I don't know.
B.A.P.S, it stands for something.
For Black American Princess.
That's my girl!
What did you think when they first put the hair, the makeup?
I thought it was great. You know why? Because I've seen these women and I could relate to these women because they're out there. So I thought it was great, a great departure for me to do something different and have a little fun and just play. Watched a lot of I Love Lucy tapes. Lucy did a lot of physical comedy and I'm trying to get loose with my face and my body.
Hey, you got a mouth!
So anything else coming up for you? Doing another movie right now? I just finished a movie with Warren Beatty called Bullworth, where I play a rapper.
If you haven't been keeping count, by this point, Halle had done just about every genre possible.
Stimulating brothers with a flick of my tongue. You wanna get with me? You gotta make me.
That was by design, of course.
It's part of what I'm trying to do right now is to do maybe smaller roles, but that weren't necessarily written for a Black female. When there are no roles for Black women, I already deal with what it's like to not have a space in Hollywood and not really have opportunity that you're seeking.
It was time to team up.
I'm Miss Frankie Lyman.
I'm Mrs. Frankie Lyman. I am Mrs. Frankie Lyman.
Now this movie, Why Do Fools Fall in Love? This Frankie Lyman and the teenagers, right?
Yes.
Takes place in the 50s?
Yes, in the 50s. It's about 3 women who actually are fighting for Frankie Lyman's estate, like $4 million. Right. And each of us has our own version of who we thought Frankie Lyman was.
Baby, you are one fine thing.
Halle starred alongside Leela Rashawn and Vivica A. Fox, a rare moment in Hollywood where 3 Black actresses were top billing. But it was time to step into something different.
And everybody over at Manslaughter Records.
Oh, hell no, not that.
She is both the star and executive producer of the upcoming HBO film Introducing Dorothy Dandridge.
Judy Garland, Ava Gardner, Marilyn Monroe.
Dorothy Dandridge.
My manager came to me one day and I remember him saying, if you could tell a story, if you could be in a movie, like your fantasy movie, like what would it be? And let's try to make that happen. Without even thinking, I said, well, Dorothy Dandridge.
How would you describe Dorothy Dandridge? Who was she and why was she so important?
I'll step in. If timing is everything, Dorothy Dandridge was everything too soon. She had the talent, the looks, the presence, but Hollywood didn't know how to handle a woman like her. They put her on the poster, then shut the door. To Halle, it was like looking in a mirror.
Where was she born?
She was born in Cleveland, Ohio.
In what hospital?
The same hospital I was born in.
Well, get a load of this hip-swinging floozy rolling around the work in time for lunch.
Green puss. You make sounds I don't like.
But just like everything else in her career, Halle had to fight to get the film off the ground.
Janet Jackson, Whitney Houston, Halle Berry, and Vanessa Williams have all been mentioned as possible stars.
We keep hearing these rumors about Whitney Houston and Janet Jackson. Y'all like fighting about this role. What's the real story here?
I know you heard about, is Whitney gonna do it? Is Janet gonna do it? Is Haley gonna do it? Is this one do it? And that one do it? And that one do it?
When Whitney Houston signed a development deal with Disney, One of her first purchases was a screenplay based on the life of Dandridge, written by historian Donald Bogle. Janet had some version of Dandridge's story as well.
Halle bought the rights to the biography Dorothy Dandridge, written by Dandridge's former manager, Earl Mills.
I only got mine done first just because I'm just an actress. They're both singing superstars, and they're a lot busier than I am, probably. And I just have been living and breathing this project for over 6 years. If I seem a little nervous.
You are absolutely the person to play this role.
Her life in many ways has been my life. Her struggle has been my struggle.
You might be thinking, we've already listed like 10 movies Halle's been in. How hard could it really be?
I have a very hard time finding leading lady roles. There's still, even in the past 40 years, there's been no spot carved out for a leading lady, a black leading lady. And so I always have to struggle to keep myself working. I've been lucky and I have been able to, but it's not without great struggle.
I've got rhythm, I've got music.
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry, introducing Dorothy Dandridge.
My mother told me this morning to enjoy it. Well, Mom, I'm enjoying it.
Wherever Dorothy Dandridge is right now, I know she is standing tall and proud and smiling, just like I am.
Wait, hold up. Who the fuck is that?
She finds love and happiness with R&B star Eric Benet.
But for some reason, I don't get as much attention unless I'm on her arm.
How did you meet this man?
We actually met him like in 1990. I was in the Beverly Center, a mall in California. And he came up to me and he said, I'm Eric Benet, I'm doing this music video, will you be in my video? And he claimed that I said, I'm sorry, but I don't do music videos.
She did.
What'd you do different this time?
I took the time to become his friend, get to know him, and also have him get to know me, the real me, not the image of me.
Who was the image?
I think the image is Halle Berry. She does Revlon. You know, life is fabulous for her. She jet sets, she travels, she's an actress. Life is beautiful for her. That's not really who I am. And I gave Eric time to get to know the real me. And I realized that he loved me anyway.
I mean this sincerely. This is the best year of my life, professionally and personally. You know, when you hook up with your soulmate and the love of your life, and you get accolades for your work, you know, life doesn't really get much better than that.
She was on top of the world.
Halle was involved in a hit-and-run accident near Hollywood Sunset Strip.
Hi, I'm Chris Rock, and welcome to Halle Berry 911.
The screen beauty needed some 20 stitches to close a cut in her forehead from Wednesday's accident.
She sustained a minor head injury that she claimed wiped the crash itself from her memory.
When they saw Halle Berry, she single-handedly destroyed the stereotype that women are good drivers.
On May 10th, 2000, Halle pleaded no contest to leaving the scene of an accident. She was fined $13,500 and ordered to perform 200 hours of community service. She was also sentenced to 3 years probation. Halle's fiancé, Eric Benet, stood by her side.
And all I can do is just do what I did, take responsibility the best I could for what I did, and accept that I don't know why I did it.
But every superhero has their origin story.
There's a war coming. You sure you're on the right side?
X-Men was Berry's biggest box office hit to date, but it was out-sizzled by the news that she'd next be bearing her widely admired breasts in a techno-thriller called Swordfish.
Who are you supposed to be?
I'm Ginger.
Now, when your big, scene that everyone's going to be talking about comes up, what are you going to be doing in your scene? Smiling.
Halle Berry bears it all in the #1 movie at the box office.
I got paid $500,000 to expose my breast, right? You know, $250,000 per, right?
Is that true?
No, it's not.
Okay, all right.
These babies, look, aren't they worth much more than, come on.
And we'd soon be seeing them again, it turned out.
Over the past 15 years, the former Miss Ohio beauty pageant winner has built an acclaimed career in film, playing a wide variety of roles.
My name is Letitia Musgrove, and me and Hank is friends.
But critics are calling her latest performance the best yet.
How did it come to you?
But initially I said, yes, 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 sign me up. I have to play this. I don't care what they're offering. I'll do it. And my manager said, well, there's one small problem. They don't want you.
I didn't want Halle Berry.
Again, I had to fight for the role.
She looked me in the eye and she said to me, well, why do you think that I can't play this role? And I said, look, Halle, we sort of didn't have anyone as visually as, beautiful as you are in mind.
I broke it down to him and I told him about so many times in my life where my life has been less than perfect, less than beautiful. And I had so much inside of me that could totally relate to this woman struggling.
I'm so happy she changed my mind.
At what point in your life did you ever think you would wind up doing a nude scene with a white guy named Billy Bob?
Dispel the myth. People thought that you guys actually had intercourse in that scene.
Well, no, I mean, we're actors.
I think Halle Berry's performance deserves to be included when Oscar nominations are announced 2 weeks from now.
People start saying, Oscar, it's going to be an this is it, and it builds, and you start winning this one, that one.
And the winner is Sissy Spacek in the bedroom.
Sissy Spacek won. I didn't win. And it was that night that I kind of felt like, okay, my chances are over.
Halle Berry, now an Oscar nominee for her work in Monsters Ball. Halle, you there?
I'm out of my head right now. I'm just so happy.
When I got nominated for an Academy Award, I was in London staying in a hotel. And it had a closet in the bedroom where when you open the doors, the lights come on automatically. You know closets like that? Well, the day after I got nominated for the Academy Award, the light came on in the closet and would not go off.
She's an Oscar nominee tonight for Best Actress. Welcome, Halle Berry.
Sissy Spacek had won the Golden Globe, so I was sure that I wasn't going to win. And I just tried to connect to, okay, but I'm here. I made it this far. You know, I got as far as Dorothy Dandridge did.
Women of color aren't often in my position, so I'm not only happy for me, but I'm happy for an entire group of people, actually, because I know what this means to them as well.
Let me explain again. For decades, the Oscars have had a reputation, a legacy of overlooking black talent. And when it came to Best Actress, no black woman had taken home that statue. Yeah, not her, or even her. Halle went into the night knowing her chances were slim because history made it so.
And the Oscar goes to Halle Berry in Monsters Ball.
This is the first Oscar for Halle Berry. She garnered rave reviews in 1999 for her Emmy Award-winning performance in the lead in introducing Dorothy Dandridge.
This moment is for Dorothy Dandridge, Lena Horne, Diane Carroll. It's for the women that stand beside me, Jada Pinkett, Angela Bassett, Vivica Fox, and it's for every nameless, faceless woman of color that now has a chance because his door tonight has been opened. All that walk up to the stage, name called, it's a blur. I really had an outer body experience. I was carrying the Oscar and I remember looking at it going, oh, I won this thing. I think I won it. That's why I have it. I came back after the Academy Awards and I had the Academy Award. Me and Oscar were in the bed and the light went out. And that just said to me that she was resting, that she left, that the job was done.
Now, have you ever been a fool in love?
As Die Another Day was about to premiere, a bombshell confession.
It was 10 days after the Academy Awards. I was on the top of the world. I thought this must be what having it all is. And I'm 35 and I got it.
Reports began to surface that her marriage to Eric Benet was in trouble.
I found out there was woman after woman after woman after woman after woman.
Said he was a sex addict, but I don't believe that.
Halle Berry and singer Eric Benet have split.
He cheated on her, and now he's suing to get custody, to get support from her. He cheated on her, and now he wants the prenup and all, which is like, can it be more of a punk, really?
Well, that chapter was over.
Cool, you win the Oscar. Huge, obviously huge. Through the roof, change your life forever. You can retire.
Dorothy, Lena, Dorothy, and Charlie from What's Happening. I really was disillusioned. I thought, oh, the highest award of our industry is now going to garner me better opportunity, greater chances to work with all those directors, but literally nothing changed.
But something did change.
Berry has been working almost nonstop since the Academy Awards.
She now wasn't just a star.
Like the 50 most beautiful people, they should just have you on the cover every year.
She was a symbol.
The first.
It's tough being the first.
Is that all your hair?
You win the award and Halle Berry is standing there, and the next thing you know,
I knew you.
you're like, you're on top of her.
What was going through your mind when Adrian Brody kissed you at the Oscars?
I was like, what the f*** is happening?
You gotta think, would he have done that to anyone else?
Her leap from Bond girl to Catwoman didn't do her career any favors.
Berry didn't get the substance or vitality in this role to equal her presence and talent.
You be a nice kitty now.
Catwoman is a big disappointment. I can only give it 1 star.
As you can imagine, I want to f***ing slap the shit out of these Razzie people that brought me here tonight.
They tried to humble her, but Halle was a fighter. Plus, the culture loved her.
I mean, she was cute, but you got to get over this.
Did you ever find out if Halle Berry ever heard your record?
Yeah, hell yeah, she danced to the record.
And thank you to my community, the African American community, who loves me, who lifts me up when I'm down, and they never, ever let me go. Thank you so much.
And yeah, she had her ups and downs personally.
Halle Berry's exes are ganging up on her in the wake of her divorce from actor Olivier Martinez.
But something still gnawed at her.
I've had to struggle with, I thought that was the door opening, and I thought, oh, my sisters were going to walk in, right? And the fact that they haven't, I struggle with that all the time, and I get asked about it all the time. And I've had to come to terms with, what do awards actually mean?
It's been 23 years since Halle won the Oscar for Best Actress. And since then, no other black woman has won the award. Yeah, sure, they have plenty of supporting trophies. But lead? There's only been one. According to a study by the Gina Davis Institute, black women made up just 3.7% of leads or co-leads in top films between 2009 and 2019. In an industry where opportunities are scarce, women of color have rarely been given the space to stretch, to show range, depth, or complexity in lead roles, and in turn, haven't been able to reap the benefits their peers have.
I couldn't have expected that 20 years later there would be no other woman of color standing next to me. But what I also know is that I've seen women of color, especially black women, I've seen them winning. I think there was a door opened within the industry, and maybe it didn't garner another award, but the doors opened.
May 20th, 1986. Halle Berry makes history as the first Black Miss USA runner-up, and from that moment on, she never stopped doing so.